Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Cover Zero podcast, the show where I cover the least in the best way possible. I'm your host, Jason Wells. Today is Wednesday, July 23rd. Training camps have officially begun. We are a little more than 1 week from an official NFL preseason game, Hall of Fame game. Doesn't matter. We're here. Training camps have started. I have already seen, oh my god, watch out for Javonte Williams. I don't think we need to watch out for Javonte Williams. Football is back. I can officially say that we have made it. Obviously, for a lot of people, we still got a little bit more to go until we actually get to real football. But to me, football is back. Training camps are here. I cannot wait to, again, get all of these junk news stories of, again, guys like Javonte Williams, who I don't expect him to have a big year with the Cowboys, but just guys like that, it's, oh, he's in the best shape of his life, watch out for him. It's a good time of the year. Football is creeping right back in, and this is also my last episode shooting here in Ottawa. I've already filmed next week's episode. That's the Vault episode. I'll talk about that more at the end of the show. But yeah, this is my last episode here. And I'll talk about just me leaving in general, me moving to Fredericton, blah, 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 at the end of the episode. So, little teaser. Stick around for that. This episode, though, we're finally getting into the 2025 NFL talk. I'm going to be talking about some breakout players. I think I have 21 names listed down. It's not going to be that long of an episode. At least I hope it's not going to be that long of an episode. And, of course, NFL Weekly Update. We have a lot to go over in that, so let's just get right into it here. TJ Watt signs a 3-year, $123 million deal, making him the highest paid non-QB in NFL history, beating Myles Garrett's deal. And where do I start with this? TJ Watt definitely deserves this money. This is a great move by the Steelers organization to pay a franchise guy like Watt, because it just shows you how much they value their players. We talk about a couple other organizations soon who don't value their players, but the Steelers do. And again, they've done it with Cam Hayward. They're doing it now with TJ Watt. They're paying for their guys, and even though they're getting older, to be here, and that matters to players around the NFL. I can guarantee you that. However, that's a lot of money to pay for TJ Watt, who might be regressing. Last year, again, TJ Watt is still very good. Don't get that twisted. But 3 years from now, at $41 million a year, and again, they structure it differently, and I don't know, but that's the AAV anyways, it's a lot of money. TJ Watt is a top 5 edge rusher in the NFL right now. I think by the end of next season, he won't be. And then, again, new guys getting their contracts, we'll see what happens, but happy for TJ Watt. He absolutely deserves this money, but I think it's a bad contract in general. Now, some may say that maybe GM Omar Khan is, again, he's happy giving TJ that money because it's TJ fucking Watt and he's a Steeler legend. And it also kind of fucks over their division rival just slightly with the Bengals, and I guess we can just get right into their side of things. Trey Hendrickson has officially left the state of Ohio. He has gone to Florida, where he is going to train there and hold out from camp. He has been adamant on being like, I'm not showing up to camp. I'm not going to be a distraction. And if you don't pay me, I'm also not going to play this season. We'll see how fines work. We'll see with everything like that, because apparently the Bengals have made him a couple contract offers in the last 24 hours. That's just according to things that I've read on Twitter, obviously. And now after this TJ Watt deal, why he's not getting the guarantees that he wants. I think the Bengals right now, they're only guaranteeing kind of like that first year of the deal, and he wants multiple years guaranteed. And now, I think he was willing to take less on the AAV than guys like Myles Garrett and what Micah Parsons would get. We'll talk about that in a second. And now that TJ Watt has that deal, Brett Coleman tweeted about it, where over the last 3 years, Trey Hendrickson has a better sack percentage and it was QB pressure percentage and win rate, like pass rush win rate, than TJ Watt does. TJ Watt's still filling up the stat sheet. Like, he gets sacks, and finishing obviously matters. Pause. But Trey Hendrickson can absolutely go to the Bengals now to be like, I want the TJ Watt deal. Or, you know what, I'll give you a little bit of a break. I want slightly less than the TJ Watt deal, which is just the Myles Garrett deal. And the Bengals, because they are just cash poor, can't sign guarantees that big. Mike Brown is just refusing. Like, I'm sure he has investors lined up who want to pay into the franchise, want to get a minority stake, and he's refusing. There's no other way to cut it. He's flat out refusing outside help. He wants to keep it a family business, and in some ways I can understand that, but it's to the detriment of your own team. Like, there is no reason why the Bengals should have, after this literal Super Bowl, should have just gone off a cliff and not be able to pay guys early so they don't have to deal with just the market inflation that's happened over the last couple years. There was no reason for any of that other than they're just a cash poor team, and it is what it is. They're cheap and they're cash poor. They can't spend on anything. It's really tough to be a Bengals fan. I'm laughing at a couple Bengals fans that I know because they're annoying, but I couldn't imagine feeling like, okay, everything is just there. And again, having Burrow, having Chase, having a really good offense and just nothing around them. It's those three guys, and that is it. The Bengals are something. And speaking of just the other team on the opposite end of the spectrum, some team that has a lot of money, one of the most, I think it's the most valuable franchise in sports in general, and that's the Dallas Cowboys, and that's Jerry Jones, who, they have all the money. Jerry Jones is just the biggest idiot on the planet, and they keep putting a microphone in front of this idiot, and he keeps putting his own foot in his own mouth with Micah Parsons and being like, oh, well, he's missed a few games, and like it's not everything's guaranteed, and what else did he? Something along the lines of like, what if he gets in a car crash? Like, we don't want to be responsible for. And it's like, first of all, like you should feel responsible for like one of your franchise players. If something like catastrophic were to happen to them, you should feel comfortable paying out the remainder of their salary, just because that's what good people should do, and that's what people with money should do. But that's a whole other topic. Jerry Jones has no reason to pay Micah Parsons. At least with the Bengals, I can just understand that they're incompetent and really, really cheap and don't want to spend money because they don't have money. Jerry Jones is cheap, and he has all the money in the world. He didn't have to wait on the Dak contract. He didn't have to wait on the CD contract. And he did not have to wait on this Micah Parsons contract. He could have got the Micah Parsons deal done before Max Crosby got his deal done, definitely before Myles Garrett got his done, and tons of time before TJ Watt got his deal done. And there's a chance where if this goes into the season, I'm sure that Micah Parsons' agent has told him, like, we're not negotiating during the season. Once the season starts. And there's a world where Micah Parsons could win Defensive Player of the Year. He is that good. And if he wins Defensive Player of the Year, that price tag might be at $45 million. Like, again, it's baffling what Jerry Jones is doing and what he says to the media. Part of me is like, oh my God, Jerry, you're such an idiot. Like, how dare you, like, not just in a team building sense, like, not just willing to team build correctly. It's annoying. But from someone who's not a Cowboys fan, it's hilarious that this 80-year-old senile man is in charge of your football team and is actively voicing how he is fucking up your team. Who does it better than the Cowboys? Nobody. Is that even about the Cowboys? I think it was about the Cowboys. Who does it? I'm not going to get into it. We'll keep going here. Another big extension here. Packers right tackle Zach Tom gets a 4-year, $88 million extension. Zach Tom, if you're not aware, is quietly one of the better right tackles in the league. Very, very good run blocker. Above average pass blocker, but like his run blocking is really, really good. I think this is honestly a great number to get him at. I mean, we just saw Dan Moore get what, $20.5 million, and I would say that Zach Tom is miles better than that. So good on Brian Gutekunst. Is that his name? Is that the Packers GM? I think that's the Packers GM. It might be the old Packers GM. Doesn't matter. Good on the Packers GM for paying Zach Tom. It leads me to another point of just why aren't tackles getting paid if the edge players they're going up against are making almost double some of their salaries? You would think that number would just be a little closer. Like, I think Zach Tom's like real valuation just based off where the market is I don't know, probably like $28 million. And I think that would make him the highest paid tackle in the league. And guys like Lane Johnson and Penei Sewell and Trent Williams should be making somewhere like closer to 35. I don't know. That's just me. But Zach Tom, great deal. Another big extension here, George Karlaftis, 4-year, $93 million deal, 62 of that guaranteed. And that's exactly what I mean. Zach Tom is a much better player than George Karlaftis, and Karlaftis just got $5 million more in like total contract value, which again, not huge in grand scheme of things, but again, I think Zach Tom should be getting much more than Karlaftis, and is what it is. Let's talk about Karlaftis though. Good player, consistently good player, not splashy. Just if how do I like juiced up Sam Hubbard, and maybe that's just because they're both white guys. I don't know. He's just an incredibly average. Okay, he's above average because he's like a good starter. Like if you have George Karlaftis on your team, like you're happy with starting him as your secondary edge the entire game, and technically he's the Chiefs' edge one, but they have Chris Jones. If he's like the second best player on your defensive line there, how about that? You're okay with that. And that's what Karlaftis is to the Chiefs. And again, the Chiefs have done a good job of extending, again, Karlaftis, Creed Humphrey, Nick Bolton, and they signed someone else too that they gave, Trey Smith, who they just gave an extension to. So the Chiefs keeping their young core relatively intact anyways, hoping to gear up for another Super Bowl run. I think Karlaftis also has like a couple more years on his deal too, so like the market for edges will keep going up, and this is like a pretty fair number to get him at if that market does continue to go up and he continues to just be a consistently above average, very good, maybe a little bit less than very good player. We can keep going. More Chiefs news. Rashee Rice sentenced to 5 years probation and 30 days of jail time to be served at some point over those 5 years. So if you've been living under a rock, last offseason, Rashee Rice, I think drunk, street racing with his buddy, caused like a 5-car pileup on a highway, leaving multiple injured, and then him and his boys fled on foot. And now we finally get the verdict and the ruling. That's what it is. And now the NFL can finally put into place a suspension. We'll see what that will end up being. I'm assuming at least 6+ games. Like that, again, if he's not an NFL player, like he goes to jail for a couple years for that. But because he's an NFL player and no one got seriously hurt and no one and all of these blah, 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 it's like he really fucked up. Like, we all know Henry Ruggs, like, really, really fucked up. I mean, look, but again, Rashee Rice also could have killed a person, been in that Henry Ruggs type of situation. And he's lucky. He's very lucky that he only gets, again, 5 years probation and only 30 days in jail whenever he's going to serve that. I think the NFL is going to come down with like a pretty hefty suspension because, like, again, shouldn't be tolerated. Next up here, the Honey Badger is officially retiring. Tyrann Mathieu calls it quits after 14 seasons in the league. I think I did that right. I think I did that. Yeah, 14 seasons in the league. 13 seasons in the league. Doesn't matter. Just one of the better players one of the better defensive players like of the last decade, and I mean he did literally make the all 2010s decade team. he was just fun. Not your traditional safety. He'll play some outside corner. He'll blitz. He was a do-it-all safety, and he was kind of this new style of these modern players that we see today, like a Brian Branch, like a Minka Fitzpatrick. Who else? Kyle Hamilton, like a little bit. Obviously, the difference in size between Kyle Ham and Tyrann Mathieu. All of this to say is just Tyrann Mathieu was a weapon. It all started out at LSU, where he was a legitimate Heisman candidate as a defensive player. Got into some trouble, smoked some weed, failed some drug tests, and all of a sudden he was just the worst person in the world. Declared for the draft, ended up dropping to the 3rd round, where the Cardinals picked it up because former LSU teammate Patrick Peterson really vouched for him. And the two of them did some really, really great things in Arizona. Leaves Arizona, goes to the Texans for a year. And then he goes to the Chiefs, where he kind of, a little bit of a career resurrection. Obviously, he was still good with the Texans, but wins the Super Bowl there. Ends his career with 3 first-team All-Pros, 1 second-team All-Pro, 3-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champion. And again, just a really, really fun defensive player. That Saints defense looks absolutely terrible right now. But it is what it is. Couple more retirements here. Phillip Rivers officially retires. Not going to spend much time on Phillip Rivers because he's been out of the league for 5 years now. But again, Hall of Very Good member. Just got inducted last week. I think 8-time Pro Bowler. No All-Pros because, again, I just found that funny as I was reading that off last week. Phillip Rivers is, again, awesome. Great career. Officially retires as a Charger. You'll love to see that. The other Charger that's retiring is Mike Williams, officially calls it quits. Forget how long he played for. I think he was drafted 2017. Does that sound right? That might... I'll just go with 2017. Mike Williams was... injuries really derailed his career because you could see at points, and there was points with the Chargers where he was a special jump ball, go up and get it type of receiver for Rivers, for Justin Herbert. It was really, again, it's a shame that injuries caught up with him, but it's even crazier that he still managed to have the career that he did in the NFL. Because if you don't remember, in college, he had a really bad, I think it was neck-back injury, where he basically ran into the uprights on, again, going for a touchdown catch and basically slammed into it, really seriously injured, and people didn't know if he was going to be the same. And, yeah, injuries did hamper his career, but he still had a really, really good career. Very fun receiver, so sad that he's hanging it up, but very good career for Mike Williams. A little bit of draft news. 255 of the 257 2025 NFL draft picks have signed. The only 2 who haven't, Quinshon Judkins for obvious reasons, and if you don't know, domestic violence reasons. And the other being Shamar Stewart, the Bengals draft pick at 17th overall. It's all about just one contract stipulation of if Stewart does something to negatively affect the Bengals or the NFL, something again, going to jail, DUI, speeding, anything along those lines, all of his guarantees get voided in his rookie deal. And some people are like, well, just sign the thing, just don't do anything bad. Where I get a little thrown off with that is the Bengals haven't done this before. First-round rookie Amarius Mims last year didn't have that in his deal. None of the other guys did. It's just kind of they're giving it to Stewart and be like, oh, we're going to void all your guarantees if you do something bad. And Stewart, who doesn't have any character issues or things in his past, that wouldn't sit right with me either. And now the Bengals don't have Trey Hendrickson or Shamar Stewart. And I don't know who their edge rotate. Miles Murphy, who they picked in the first round, who just, I don't think he's done anything since he's been drafted. But those are the last 2 guys who remain unsigned. There was a steady flow of signings, mainly from the second-round picks, because if you didn't know, Nick Caserio, the Texans GM, gave Jaden Higgins, the Texans, I think it was he was the 33rd overall pick, something like that, but he gave him a fully guaranteed deal, and that opened up the door for, second-round contracts can get fully guaranteed deals, and that's what we were waiting for. So a lot of guys signed for basically 90% of it is guaranteed, while other guys around Higgins' range were all kind of getting guaranteed deals. So shout out to Nick Caserio, kind of bucking the trend. Again, it's good to pay the players. They are the product. Pay them. Few smaller things here just to finish off, and we will get into the breakout players. This has been a long and weekly update, which, yeah, there's been a lot to cover. I mean, clearly. Jamal Adams has signed with the Raiders. Pete Carroll obviously loves him. I mean, he traded 2 first-round picks for him when he was with the Jets. Basically stuck around his entire tenure, and then as soon as Mike McDonald comes in, it's like, see ya, we don't need you anymore, Jamal. He's just been really hurt. Again, former top 10 pick, former All-Pro, but these are all things that were like years ago now at this point. So it's a fun signing. Let's see what can happen. Maybe it's a vet mentor thing. Pete Carroll loves his leadership, or I have no idea, but it's a Pete Carroll type of signing. We can keep going from there. Anthony Richardson, after being unsure about his training camp availability, he is ready to go for training camp, putting Daniel Jones on the hot seat for the worst QB battle in NFL history. And I can't even say that because the Cleveland Browns do exist. Yeah, it's good for Anthony Richardson that he's getting his reps and actually like getting a chance to deserve to start, because he should be starting, because we all know that Daniel Jones is terrible, and we all know that Anthony Richardson isn't good, but we don't know if he's terrible yet. I think third year is where a lot of these things get to be decided. We've seen the highs. I don't think we've seen any highs from Daniel Jones in the last 5 years. At least with Richardson, we've seen the highs recently. Levi, and I'm going to completely butcher this name, Onwuzurike, from the DT from the Detroit Lions, has torn his ACL. He will be out for the season. Yeah, the defensive woes and injuries just aren't leaving the Lions, apparently. Hopefully this isn't, again, like a chain reaction of just bad injuries for the Lions again. And it does suck, because Levi took a bit of like a hometown deal to stay with the Lions for 1 more year. I think he could have probably gotten a little bit more on the open market, but he chose to stay in Detroit for, like, obviously, like, Dan Campbell has just built a very good culture, and there's a reason why players want to stay for maybe even a little less money, because they feel so comfortable in that situation and their role. And it's just unfortunate it had to happen. Again, he was a quality depth, good role player, like rotational defensive player for them. So that's a shitty injury. Noah Fant has been cut from the Seahawks. Unsurprising, I think they were looking to trade him, especially after drafting Elijah Arroyo out of Miami, who just essentially plays the exact same role as Fant does. Fant, again, extremely athletic tight end out of Iowa. It was him and TJ Hawkinson and that one draft. And yeah, Fant is the athlete who just, it couldn't really translate over. Someone will sign him. I'm interested to see who gives him like a look anyways, but he's a name on the market. Josie Jewell also got cut from the Panthers today. Josie Jewell had like a very good start, maybe not very good, but a good start to his career with the Broncos, signs with the Panthers last year, gets a concussion, and is still experiencing concussion symptoms. So I thought you weren't allowed to cut players who were hurt, but I don't know, because now that seems like, oh, he's not under contract and maybe can't get his benefits, and now not making money because he got hurt playing for your team. Again, that just confuses me, and I hope that that's not actually the case, but hopefully Josie feels better soon, because, yeah, he's a very quality linebacker in this league. Justin Ross gets cut from the Chiefs. This name should mean nothing to you if you don't follow college football, but Justin Ross was supposed to be like the next generational receiver. His freshman year at Clemson was absolutely insane. People were like, oh, he's better than Mike Williams. He's better than T. Higgins. Like, this is going to be like the next. And again, injuries happen. Like, he had what was his injury? Did he have cancer? Either way, his injury was like really, really bad. He had to step away from football. So the fact he was like even like in the league, great for him. Hopefully he'll stick somewhere else, but that's just a fun one. Desmond Ridder signs with the Bengals to, I guess, battle for their backup QB position. I don't even know who their QB2 is, but it kind of goes home. Obviously, Desmond Ridder from the University of Cincinnati, where he had a great career there. So maybe some little familiarity there makes him a little bit more comfortable. I have no idea, but He goes there. The Eagles got their Super Bowl rings. Kind of a nothing story other than like the wings pop out of the side. I can't say anything. It's a fucking Super Bowl ring. Like, it's really cool regardless. I saw someone make the joke of like Bakugan Brawl. If you don't remember Bakugan, that's quite alright. That's quite a reference. I just remember it being shitty Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Beyblade hybrid show. I don't actually know if it had like a big following in like Korea, Japan, whatever. I don't need to talk about Bakugan on this show. Got some new uniforms, helmets. The Saints got this like lighter gold kind of look. It's not my favorite. I don't hate it. I'll have to see how it actually like looks on the field and on camera to give like a true judgment. Bills got the red helmets, which I love the Bills red helmets. Those are just sick. The Steelers got new jerseys too. It's like old throwbacks, yellow jersey with kind of like this black pattern on it. And like honestly, I like the jersey. The jersey itself, kind of cool looking. The rest of the design, NFL teams, stop wearing like beige khaki pants for throwback uniforms. It always looks bad. Just don't. Like, if that yellow uniform was with like black pants, or like a black pants with like a yellow stripe or something, I don't know. Like a little, just like something more like plain, would have been fucking incredible. But because it's with the khaki pants, it just looks stupid. Khaki pants with yellow socks, like that's a good fucking mix. Good job. The NFLPA is just in utter shambles right now. I don't even have the guy's name written down here, but Gavin Lloyd, whatever. The guy who was like the director of the NFLPA, he resigned for basically defrauding the PA. Pablo Torre and Mike Florio dug into that, where essentially they uncovered, what's the word? But there was collusion within the NFL based off when Lamar was like a free agent, and there was something else too where they found out that this guy knew and just didn't act on it. Where, you know, when you're like the player union like head, you should, you know, be like, oh, I have a leverage chip on you guys now. You're fucked for the next collective bargaining agreement. And no, didn't do that at all. Also, like, took $1,000 like cabs from the airport to strip clubs and then expensed it to the NFLPA. That's fucking shitty. And then JC Treader, who's like the players rep, also resigned. Must have known about all of this too. But again, I don't know how as a former player you can be that shitty towards the current players. It just, whatever. It's a crazy situation. If you want to read up about it, you go for it. I can't believe I'm almost half an hour and I haven't even gotten to the breakout players yet. And finally, oh Jesus Christ, I forgot I listed this. Donald Trump might hold up the new Washington Stadium deal if they don't change their name back. It's just, I mean, it's a distraction. It's, what else do you want to call it? Obviously, with all the Epstein stuff up there, Trump is going to be like, no, we got to bring the names back. He's also harping on like the Cleveland Guardians to go back to the Indians, and it's just, what a fucking idiot. It's, he's just so fucking stupid. I just had to bring that up. That's the NFL Weekly Update, though. Holy shit, that was long, and I need to take a sip of water. Okay, I have 21 breakout players to talk about here. Again, I'm not going to go into detail with all of them, but I don't know. These are guys, again, I expect to have breakout seasons, bigger roles, guys to look out for who are, again, getting into their new starting positions, or I should need to explain breakout players to you guys. You guys know what this is. So I'll start from, like, guys who are going from, like, nothing to, like, I expect for them to, like, carve out a decent role this year, to guys who, like, they will get, like, league notoriety, they'll be stars, etc., etc., etc. So, starting off at the very bottom, it is Marshawn Lloyd, the second-year running back out of USC, the Green Bay Packers backup running back. So, I thought Marshawn Lloyd, last offseason, obviously he was injured, only played in one game, I think he only got 6 carries, so, nothing to base last season off of, basically. And again, I thought last offseason, oh, maybe Josh Jacobs is like losing his tread a little bit and Marshawn Lloyd will like push him. And obviously, Marshawn Lloyd didn't play the entire year, and Josh Jacobs was absolutely great. Like, he was the Packers' offense in some respects. Obviously, in some respects, because he was literally the lone running back. All of this to say is I expect Marshawn Lloyd to carve out a decent RB2 role for Josh Jacobs. If you're looking for fantasy purposes, I would pick up Marshawn Lloyd to be Josh Jacobs' handcuff over any other Green Bay running back. Maybe that's something super obvious and doesn't need to be said. Either way, looking for Marshawn Lloyd to, again, maybe like a 500-yard season. That might be nice. We'll see. Next player up here, we have Quantez Stiggers for the New York Jets. Former Toronto Argonaut. Didn't play college football at all. Again, this was one of my favorite draft stories from last year. I'm trying to remember, but basically was supposed to go to college, had a bunch of family problems, issues back at home, stayed back, ended up playing in that fan-controlled football league, doing really well, got looks at the CFL, did really well in the CFL, and then got drafted to the NFL. That's, again, it's an incredible story already, but he just fits the mold of someone who I think that Aaron Glenn is going to love. Obviously, they have Sauce Gardner. They paid... Who did they pay? They paid someone to be their CB2 this year, who I also like. They gave Brandon Stevens a bunch of money for some reason, too. And that's who I think that Stiggers is going to take. He will be taking... No, not the Winnipeg Jets. I don't need the Winnipeg Jets roster. Come on. Know me better, Google. Oh, shit. They did pay Brandon Stevens to be their second corner. Okay, well, I expect Quantez Stiggers by the end of... Oh, they also drafted Azareye'h Thomas. Either way, Brandon Stevens will not be starting for this team. I think Quantez Stiggers will get a look at that other outside starting corner position. Again, was one of my draft guys from last year. I think Aaron Glenn is really going to love him just as a person and just as a football player too. So I'm expecting bigger things from Quantez Stiggers. These next two guys here are guys who have been breakout candidates, at least last season, and for the other guy, maybe a little bit longer. But first one up here, it's Dalton Kincaid, the Bills tight end. I think he was everyone's breakout candidate last year, and unfortunately, he was just hurt the entire season. I think he played in 13 games, only started in 9 of them, never really got in sync with Josh Allen and the offense in general, and yeah, I think that he will have a bigger role carved out for him. I think he will exceed his rookie numbers, and his rookie numbers were very good. I think they were like 70 catches, just below 700 yards. Again, I think a breakout season for Kincaid is like 850 plus yards and like 8 TDs maybe. That might be a little too extensive because I have literally another Bills weapon on here that we'll talk about later, but I got to see something from Kincaid. He was a first-round pick for a reason. That rookie year, he did look really promising, and you could see the potential. Last year, tons of injuries, and I'm expecting a bounce back here. The other guy, Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence going into his 5th year. Can he be a breakout candidate? I mean, technically, because we've been waiting for it. We've been waiting for it since that 2020, that back half of that 2022 season. Mwah, it was terrific. And 2023, an absolute dud. 2024, an absolute dud. Also, tons of injuries in there. And now, he's got Brian Thomas, who's one of the best young receivers in the NFL. He has Travis Hunter, who all-around stud, and head coach Liam Cohen, who, again, we saw what he did with that Bucs offense in their run game last year, and maybe doesn't have the guys in his running back stable yet that he could want, but it's put up or shut up time for Trevor. It's if things don't get shown this year, it's just never going to happen. And again, I like Trevor Lawrence. I listened to his interview on Pardon My Take from last week, I think. Seems like a really cool guy. Seems like a really nice guy. And I like cheering for guys who just seem like overall decent human beings and good people. And yeah, I hope that he does really well. And again, I think he should. It's a decent offensive line. I think the coaching staff is finally in place. He has the weapons. Put up or shut up time, Trevor. Again, I think he should have a good season. If we know anything, he finally should have his big year. Next, two guys up here, both on the Eagles. We'll start off with Moro Ojamo. This is someone who mainly a rotational piece for the Eagles last year, but as the season kept going and as we got into the playoffs, you started hearing his name a little bit more, and he made his name known in that Super Bowl versus the Chiefs. Multiple big stops, and now with the departure of guys like Josh Sweat and Milton Williams, a guy like Moro Ojamo needs to step up, and based off the way that Howie Roseman has drafted, and based off the way that Ojamo finished last year, there's no reason to believe why he won't. I think he will fit into that Milton Williams role pretty seamlessly. The other guy here is Sidney Brown, Canadian, twin brother of Bengals running back Chase Brown. No Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. CJ Gardner, yeah, he changed it. No more CJ Gardner-Johnson anymore, and I think that they just like what they have in Sidney Brown. Again, kind of like Moro, Sidney Brown started playing a little more, like just different packages and stuff like that, and we all know that CJ Gardner-Johnson, a little bit of a head case. So interested to see. Now this is a very, very young secondary for the Eagles. Sidney Brown, Reed Blankenship, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. We'll see how it plays out, but those are two guys from the Eagles who are looking to step up into bigger roles after their Super Bowl wins. This next tier here is just basically the 2024 wide receiver class. I got Marvin Harrison, Ricky Pearsall, Rome Odunze, Keon Coleman, Xavier Leggett, Xavier Worthy. I'll start off with Marvin Harrison. He probably needs the least talked about here. I'm not good with words today. It is what it is. Some may argue that Marvin Harrison already had his breakout season. I think he had like 860 yards and 8 TDs. Yeah, that's a really good rookie season, but the expectations for Marv were absolutely through the roof, and I could tell that the chemistry between him and Kyler just wasn't there from day one, and didn't really get better as the season went on. And I think that Marv, hearing things of people talking about who he is as a football player and his character, that pissed him off, and he knew that he could be better and knew that he could work with Kyler better, and I'm expecting a really big season for him. I'm expecting a 1,200-yard season for him. Yes, that might cut into Trey McBride's targets a little bit, but that means maybe Trey McBride's touchdowns will actually go up this year. Yeah, I expect a big, big year for Marvin Harrison, just like I do with other top 10 pick Rome Odunze. I might go out on a limb and say that Rome Odunze is going to be the wide receiver one for this team. I think that people are talking about DJ Moore is going to fill into the Amon-Ra St. Brown role, that slot, just get all the targets, and I think that's going to be Rome Odunze. I think Rome Odunze is going to be the perfect power slot for Bears, for Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson. And yeah, I think that he has an outside chance to be the wide receiver one on this team. Again, another player from last year who he had a really good rookie year. Despite all the Bears dysfunction, Rome Odunze had a very good rookie year, and I'm expecting a way more cohesive offense, just better run team in general. So I'm expecting big, big seasons for Marv and Rome Odunze. The other guys listed here, we have Ricky Pearsall. Last year at this time, he was getting robbed and shot in the chest. No more of that for Ricky this offseason. And he's going into training camp fully healthy. And again, no more Deebo Samuel, so those targets will be left open, but he will be battling guys like Brandon Ayuk, Jawan Jennings, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, all for targets. It is a crowded room. But I saw enough at the end of last season where, Ricky Pearsall could be a really, really good deep threat for them. Again, run some gimmick stuff, maybe like Deebo does. Obviously not in the same way that Deebo would, because Deebo was a glorified running back at some points. But yeah, I expect a bigger breakout year for Ricky Pearsall. Keon Coleman, I know I talked about Dalton Kincaid having this breakout year. I expect the same thing for Keon Coleman. Josh Allen's arm is too good to not have like a vaunted passing attack. And if Coleman and Kincaid both have breakout years, I think Shakir's totals are just kind of like those are going to be around his totals until he kind of like drops off physically. I don't like it's tough. And I should just be saying that one of Kincaid or one of Coleman will have a breakout year because they essentially play the same role, which kind of bad planning by GM Brandon Beane. But again, if the Bills can find creative ways to get them both on the field, it should work. Again, I really like Keon Coleman. He's just a character in general, and I just hope that he can turn out to be a really good receiver too. Other guy here, same thing, Xavier Leggett, absolute character. Again, the Panthers at the start of the year for the first half of the season, complete dysfunction. And there was some injuries and stuff, and Xavier Leggett I don't think will ever be a true wide receiver one. I don't think he will live up to the potential that athletically he does have, because they drafted Ted McMillan. And Ted McMillan does all the things that you want a true wide receiver one to be. And that just leaves a lot more fun stuff for Xavier Leggett. And I don't know what that means, but I'm excited to see what the Panthers offense has in store this year. And then finally, Xavier Worthy. Xavier Worthy basically just took over the Rashee Rice role, and now Rashee Rice is healthy again, but he will be suspended for the first however many games of the season, where I'm excited to see how Andy Reid deploys him to start the season, because he just shouldn't be back in the Rashee Rice role. Because once Rice comes back, what's Xavier Worthy's role? Is he going to be taking over Hollywood's role? Then what's Hollywood's role? Xavier Worthy is best as a deep threat. Yeah, he can catch the underneath stuff, but like get him on the move. It's... Sorry, just needed to drink some water. I like the potential. He's, again, the fastest player in the history of the NFL per the Combine. Xavier Worthy has the opportunity to really cut in to that wide receiver one role at the start of the year and become Pat Mahomes' favorite target. He'll probably have 6+ weeks to do it, so I'm interested to see if he does. So that's the 2024 wide receiver class. Couple of Tennessee Titans that we're going to talk about here. J.C. Latham, they tried to put him at left tackle last year. He is a right tackle. He is sliding back over to right tackle, his natural position. That's where he played at Bama. Incredibly raw, underdeveloped player, but fuck is he strong, and just all of the physical tools you could want. And luckily for Latham, he has Bill Callahan as his offensive line coach. I'm expecting him to whip him into pretty good shape. And I think, again, playing back at your natural position, playing next to Kevin Zeitler, it helps. So I'm expecting a big year in development for J.C. Latham. And another guy who I'm expecting bigger buzz for is T'Vondre Sweat, their big nose tackle out of Tennessee last year. Just based off his one play, he had a really good season. Him and Jeffrey Simmons were an absolute terror for teams to deal with in the run game, and T'Vondre is just so hard to move. He's a freak athlete, and he's also 6'5", 365. He's a big boy, hard to move. You saw the athleticism when he got that fumble recovery and ran it for 20 yards, stiff-armed a guy. He's a fun player. I'm expecting bigger things from him this year. I don't know if it'll get the national notoriety from around the league, just because he's a nose tackle and he plays for the Titans, and not a big shocker, I'd imagine. But I don't expect big things for the Titans this coming year. Sorry. But I do, again, I think that he's going to take another leap, and people are going to be like, he's sneakily maybe a top 20 defensive tackle in the league. Next guy up here, it is Malcolm Kuntz, the Raiders edge player. Did not play in 2024. I think, again, he might have been one of my breakout players for 2024 as well. He had 8 sacks in 2023, only starting in 11 of those games, I believe. But now he is back. Now he is healthy, paired up again with Max Crosby and hopefully a healthy Christian Wilkins on the interior and whatever Tyree Wilson is doing, I guess. Kuntz is someone who is vital to this Raiders defense. Because right now it's looking a little iffy. Obviously, there's like the things that you like with the Crosbys and the Wilkins, and there's not really a ton to like about their secondary. But hey, they signed Jamal Adams, I guess. But if they can get another like solid edge player, like a guy, again, maybe Malcolm Kuntz can get them like 11, 10 sacks as the secondary edge guy. Like, that's a huge step up from where they were last year, and again, can help this Raiders defense go from like below average to average, and that would be a huge step for them. A couple more guys from last year's draft class. We have Chop Robinson of the Miami Dolphins. Chop was, again, drafted as a project. Very raw, super athlete, though. His get off, his first step, one of the best in the league, and that's verified by Next Gen Stats, too. And yeah, for a guy who was supposed to be a project, he looked pretty fucking good his rookie season. Finished with 6 sacks. I think he had one of the best pressure rates in the league. I think he was top 5. And that was without another edge guy next to him. Now, again, now he'll be battling for more reps with guys like Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips. But to me, if I'm the Dolphins, I'm prioritizing Chop. Chop should be getting the most snaps out of that group, because this is someone who you should be investing in. Jalen Phillips with the injuries, I'm not so sure at this point. Bradley Chubb is just old. Chop should be your future number 1 star pass rusher for this team. And again, with Zach Seiler, Kenneth Grant, Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb off the other edge, I think Chubb is going to have another big year. I think he's going to take another leap in his development as well. I'm very, very interested to see what he does. Byron Murphy, the big defensive tackle out of Texas. Did I say Devondre? What doesn't matter. Unfortunately for him, was basically a nose tackle last year, and he did pretty damn well, but he is not a nose tackle. He is someone who should be getting after the quarterback, making plays in the backfield, not just kind of plugging up the run, whatever. And now, the Seahawks are asking him to play what his role should be, which is a 3 technique and actually get after the quarterback. I'm going to talk about it in, I think, a couple weeks' time when I talk about some of the defenses I'm most excited for. But this Seahawks defense, I am very, very excited for. Because, again, Byron Murphy going back to his natural position, playing next to Leonard Williams, that should be very, very scary for a lot of offenses across the league. Mike McDonald is an absolute madman, and I think that defense is going to be scary, and I think that a big reason why it's going to be scary is because Byron Murphy is that dude. Next guy up here, I don't think this really counts, but I have Christian Gonzalez, because before you get mad and be like, oh, Christian Gonzalez is one of the best corners in the league. He is one of the best corners in the league. Right now, I would say Gonzalez is my 3rd best corner in the league, only behind Stingley and Pat Surtain. But this is a breakout for the national media, because no one has cared about the Patriots over the last couple of years because they have been absolute dog water. Sucks for me to say, but the Patriots will not be absolute dog water this year. I think that the defense will be a Patriots defense again. The offense, I don't know, but again, I'll talk about Drake May in a little bit here because I also think he's going to have a breakout season. But for the national media, for Christian Gonzalez, he will get the recognition he deserves as a top corner in this league. Yeah. So I already think that Christian Gonzalez is great, is one of the best corners in the league, but now it's for the rest of you to figure out that Christian Gonzalez is one of the best corners in the league. And yeah, I mentioned it, the other Patriot here, Drake May. I think I said it last year, but Drake May was the rookie quarterback that I was the most impressed with watching on like a game-to-game basis. Obviously, I know that Jaden Daniels had a historic rookie season, and he was incredible, but there are things that Drake May did with how bad that Patriots offense was around him. And I'm like, that Patriots offense around him, there was maybe like 2 NFL starters like on it. Like, if we're being real, he played with two real NFL players last year on offense, and now it's looking much better. The running game looks better, the passing attack looks a little bit better, the offensive line looks a little bit better. Still a lot of question marks in all of those areas, but it's much improved, and if the glimpses I saw from Drake May and some of the superhero shit that he ended up doing with that dog shit offense, and now if he has like a league average offense around him, I'm very excited to see what he can do. And again, you don't hear me say I'm excited to see a Patriots quarterback, but I am. I really like Drake May. It sucks, but here we are. Last two guys here, we have Jared Verse, the Rams second-year edge player. Only had 4.5 sacks last year, but I think was like also top 3 in total pressures across the entire league. So just needs to convert on those pressures a little more. But Teron Armstead, the former Saints and Dolphins left tackle, said that Jared Verse is going to be one of these guys who in a few years will be like challenging for Defensive Player of the Year. And I absolutely believe that because, yeah, he only had 4.5 sacks in the regular season, but his playoffs, especially against Philly, and we all know how good those two tackles are with Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson, and Jared Verse gave them the business. Jared Verse is scary, and I think that Armstead even said that, like, there's not many people who can just, like, straight up bull rush you and you feel their power. Jared Verse is one of those guys. Comes in as like a young 23-year-old and immediately has grown man strength that, again, Armstead, one of the best tackles of the last decade, is like, oh shit, this is different. That's scary. So the Rams have, again, another special defensive player on their hands potentially. I'm expecting a big jump in sack numbers for Verse. I think going from 4.5 to something like 12 probably isn't out of the realm of possibility, but big year coming for Jared Verse. And finally, the last breakout player I have is... Gonna take another drink of water because I'm losing my voice again. It is the defensive tackle... Hold on, I'm going to pause this, actually. Okay, we're back. Water has been consumed. Last player here, it is Derek Brown, the defensive tackle out of Carolina. Technically out of Auburn, playing for the Carolina Panthers right now. Derek Brown, I think, missed like 90% of last season with an injury. And the Panthers sorely missed him. Derek Brown is already one of the best run-stuffing defensive tackles in the league. And again, someone who doesn't get the credit he deserves because he plays on Carolina and because those defenses have been so bad. And now I think we're at a point with Carolina where I think Jairo Evero finally has some of the players that he wants. And Derek Brown being the star piece in all of that, I think will have a very, very good year. And again, will get his name like firmly brought up into definitely top 10. Again, I already think he's a top 10 defensive tackle, but like top 5 probably in my opinion. Again, they signed Pat Jones, they drafted Nick Scordon, they drafted Princely Uman Mielen, they signed Bobby Brown, they signed Tershawn Warden, they signed Trayvon Morig, they signed... Either way, this defense actually has like guys on it at this point, and I just think that Derek Brown is just going to be the biggest piece. He's just going to be tough for any team to deal with now, and now that you can't solely double team him or triple team him on most reps because you got to be concerned about the guys around. I expect for Derek Brown, again, this is kind of like the Christian Gonzalez thing, but he will get brought up as one of the better defensive tackles in the league anyways, and Evero is finally going to have one of the defenses that he enjoys here. Okay, that'll do it for this episode. Last episode in Ottawa. It's a little bittersweet. Obviously, you guys can't notice because all you see is my lovely gallery wall, but lots of stuff has been put away, lots of boxes everywhere right now. We still have a little bit more to do. But I'm going to miss Ottawa, no doubt. I mean, I'm going to miss my family. I'm going to miss my extended family. I'll miss my friends here. It is a nice city. I mean, I could deal with not having traffic every single fucking day. I mean, especially with how bad it is right now. But that's a whole other situation. No, it's sad. I think that the podcast has gotten better since I've lived here, and I hope that you agree. I don't know. It's gonna be weird. Next week, though, as I promised, it's going to be the Vault episode. So this is something that I filmed back in early mid-April. Like, I did this before the draft. So these are just my overall takes and feelings. Because how I thought is just a rookie class should not affect the overall scope of a team. And you should have your basically like the bones of the team already assembled. And I think I power ranked all the teams. I think the week after that, I will re-power rank the teams, see how much I was different, re-listen, see if my opinions have changed on things. I know I was not kind towards the Dolphins, I can tell you that. Yeah, I guess this is it. And as always, if you have liked this, please like, share, retweet, subscribe, tell your friends, and until next time, peace.